Welcome back to our channel. Today I'll show you a 2009 Indian Hindi language coming-of-age comedy drama film. It is the most known Indian film around the world, which also had a social impact on attitudes to education in India, as well as education in other Asian countries such as China. The plot is told in two parallel dramas, one in the present and one 10 years in the past, and chronicles the relationship of three students in an Indian engineering college. It is a parody of the societal pressures that exist in an Indian school system. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. Farhan Qureshi, Raju Rastogi, and Rankodas Rancho Shimaldas Shanchad are three engineering students living together in a dormitory at India's Imperial College of Engineering. Rancho is from a wealthy family, whilst Farhan and Raju are mediocre pupils from low-income families. Farhan aspires to be a wildlife photographer, but has enrolled in engineering school to fulfill his father's ambition. On the other hand, Raju wishes to improve his family's circumstances. Rancho is an affluent genius who studies only for the sake of studying. Rancho's enthusiasm, on the other hand, is for information and disassembling and rebuilding machinery, rather than the traditional fixation of the other students with exam ranks. Rancho's unconventional approach earns him the fury of the college deans Professor Viro Sahasrabudhe, popularly known as Virus. Rancho upsets his teachers by providing inventive and unconventional responses and confronts Virus when fellow student Joy Lobo kills himself in his dorm room. Joy had asked for a compassionate delay on his big project because his father had had a stroke, but Virus denied it, claiming that he was utterly unmoved by his own son's tragic death after being hit by a train. Rancho blames Lobo's death on the institution's rat race, dog-eat-dog, mindless rote-learning mindset. Virus, threatened by Rancho's talent and free spirit, calls him an idiot and makes several attempts to undermine his friendship with Farhan and Raju, urging them and their parents to avoid Rancho. Chatur Ramalingam, often known as Silencer, is a Virus model student who sees a high rank at the famous institution as his ticket to increase social position, corporate influence, and hence fortune. Chatur adheres to the system's expectations. Rancho humiliates Chatur, who's given the honor of delivering a speech in an award ceremony, by inserting obscenities into the text supplied by the librarian. Chatur, as predicted, blindly memorizes the speech, oblivious to any errors, assisted in part by his lack of Hindi expertise. His speech makes the audience laugh, irritating the authorities in the process. Meanwhile, Rancho falls in love with Virus' medical student daughter, Pia, after he, Raju, and Farhan interrupt her sister's wedding feast to obtain a free lunch, further enraging Virus. Meanwhile, the three pupils continue to irritate Virus. Despite Rancho consistently coming first in every exam, Chatur usually coming second, and Farhan and Raju constantly coming last. When the three buddies, who are already inebriated, break into Virus' house late at night to allow Rancho to propose to Pia, they then urinate on a door within the complex before fleeing when Virus detects intruders. The following day, Virus threatens to dismiss Raju if he talks about the other two. Raju, unable to choose between betraying his buddy and disappointing his family, leaps out of the third-floor window and lands in a courtyard, but after lengthy treatment by Pia and his roommates, he survives. Farhan and Raju's perspectives have shifted as a result of their encounter with Rancho. Farhan resolves to follow his passion for photography, while Raju takes an unusual approach to a corporate job interview. He attends in plaster in a wheelchair, giving a succession of unconventional and candid responses. Virus, on the other hand, is unconcerned and swears to make the final exam as difficult as possible so that Raju does not graduate. Pia hears him and confronts him furiously. And when Virus offers the same merciless response he gives to his pupils, she denounces him in the same way Rancho did after Lobo's suicide. Pia reveals that Virus' son, her brother, committed suicide in front of a train and left the letter because Virus had forced him to pursue a career in engineering over his love of literature. Virus always mentioned to every new intake of ICE students that he unsympathetically failed his son on the ICE entrance exam over and over. Pia then exits the family home, carrying Virus' extra keys with her. She informs Rancho about the exam, and he and Farhan enter Virus' office and steal the exam, which they deliver to Raju, who with his newfound attitude is indifferent about failing, refuses to cheat and tosses the paper away. Virus, on the other hand, captures the three and ejects them on the spot. They're saved, however, when Virus' pregnant elder daughter, Mona, goes into labor at the same moment. A major storm knocks out all electricity and transportation, and Pia is not in town, so she directs Rancho to deliver the baby through VoIP in the college common room after Rancho recovers power using vehicle batteries and a power converter Rancho invented and Virus derided. Rancho then uses an improvised vacuum extractor to deliver the baby. Rancho resuscitates the baby after it appears to be stillborn. Rancho and his pals are reconciled with Virus, who permits them to complete their final exams and graduate. Rancho is the first to finish and receives Virus's pen, which the professor had kept for decades until finding a clever enough student to give it to. Their narrative is told in flashbacks from the present day, 10 years after Chatoor vowed revenge on Rancho for humiliating him on the night of this speech and pledged to be more successful than Rancho a decade later. Raju and Farhan set off on a trip to recover Rancho, who went missing after the graduation celebration and retreated into isolation. Chatoor, now a wealthy and successful businessman, joins them, boldly sure that he has excelled Rancho in his later years and is now in a better position than him. Chatoor is also hoping to strike a contract with a well-known scientist and potential business partner named Punsuk Wangdu. Chatoor sees Wangdu, who possesses hundreds of patents, as his ticket to greater social status. When they get to Rancho's home, they enter his father's funeral and discover an entirely different Rancho, Jav Jaffrey. The host pulls a pistol on them after accusing the new guy of taking their friend's identity and benefiting from his intelligence. But Farhan and Raju turn the tables by snatching the father's ashes and attempting to flush them down the toilet. The owner gives in and explains that their friend was a penniless servant kid who loved learning. But he, the real Rancho, is a lazy, privileged youngster who detested study. Therefore, the family agreed to let the servant boy study instead of work. In exchange, the genuine Rancho would pocket the credentials and perks, while the imposter would cut all ties with the outside world and begin a new life. The real Rancho explains that Raju and Farhan's Rancho is now a Ladakh school teacher. Raju and Farhan then tracked down Pia and removed her from her wedding day by impersonating to be her groom during the ceremony. This leads the duo eloping in public with Pia. When they arrive in Ladakh, they're greeted by a group of excited Ladakhi children who are driven by a desire to learn. Pia and Rancho revive their romance, while Chatoor mocks and assaults Rancho, the educator, before leaving. When his buddies inquire about his true identity, he discloses it as Punsuk Wangdu and calls Chatoor, who has turned his back on him, to turn around and meet his possible business partner. Chatoor is shocked and falls to his knees, accepting defeat and continuing to argue his case with Punsuk in order to create the commercial partnership he desired. And that is all about this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to stay up to date with such interesting movie recaps